Welcome to the Aligned Ambition Show, where we share women's entrepreneurial wisdom. Are you a woman starting or growing your online heart-centered business? Are you wanting to do things differently? Do you feel icky about using manipulative marketing tactics and are ready to align your business with your ethics, values, and life goals? If this sounds like you, then stick around for this conversation.
We're the dreamers, the believers, breaking through the mold, building up our visions with a purpose brave and bold.
All right, welcome. I'm Larissa Russell of Heart Centered Academy, and today for the Aligned Ambition Show, I have with me Larissa. I said I was going to butcher it. Makuch.
Yes.
Does that sound about right? Larissa Makuch. And so, Larissa's easy because that's my name. So,
best name ever. Best name ever. Just remember that.
Larissa is a savvy, sought-after speaker, master results coach, educator, and author of Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away, Discover the Secrets to More Time, Money, and Freedom. I need to read that. With ruthless compassion, Larissa leads highly successful, motivated, conscious entrepreneurs through mental barriers and into unstoppable confidence, authenticity, and empowerment. So exactly aligned with us. So thank you and welcome, Larissa.
I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm excited. And I don't think I've ever interviewed someone with my name. I know people with my name, but I don't think I've ever interviewed one. So I shouldn't be. I shouldn't have any problem remembering.
No, not at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about you and how you came to do what you do?
So I've had a very windy road. I think most people in the entrepreneurial space have. My first career was in financial services. I've done some real estate investment projects. I had a pole dance home party business where we would take dance poles into ladies' homes and do birthday and bachelorette parties. So I had women working for me in the entertainment space. And then I've taught dance most of my life. Just that was a passion project I always did. And my last career prior to doing what I do, I was a Pilates instructor and ended up transitioning into running the studio and running the company that I was at previously. So when I first got into the coaching space, I had zero desire to be a coach and get into this world. I had hired many different coaches over the years. I had worked with many different coaches in the various businesses I'd been involved in. And I loved spiritual coaches, business coaches, life coaches, just different people for different needs. I also did a lot of work with many different alternative healthcare practitioners. So throughout my journey, I just always loved learning and growing. And there was a point where I was on maternity leave and my husband, he said, Larissa, you're driving me crazy. You need someone to help and it can't be me. Smart man. So he suggested actually that I look into the work of Bob Proctor. And at first I dismissed it because I heard of him 20 years ago prior when I was in financial services. And I just was like, no, not for me. But when I started doing the work, it really did change my life. And so I applied to become a consultant. It was terrible timing. I was about to go back to work. I loved my job. I had a great title. I loved my clients. I loved what I did. There was a lot of variety, 5 minutes from home in a city like Toronto. So it was a pretty sweet deal. But there was something that was like calling me to it. And I made all these excuses not to do it. And my husband stood up and he's like, Larissa, if you keep doing what you're currently doing, are you going to get to where you need to be? And I wanted to say yes with every bone in my body, but I couldn't. And so initially that was a big turning point because everything on the surface of my life was tickety-boo. It was all great, but underneath there was just something missing. And I think a lot of times we go through these points in our lives where we are comfortably uncomfortable. And because it's good enough, we don't realize what's really happening. And so I ended up starting my business, Ready, Fire, Aim, as a consultant for the Proctor Gallagher Institute. So training Bob Proctor's materials, which was great because I didn't have to come up with everything brand new. I think when you're starting a business, it's a great way to tap into other people's work or systems because you can start and you can gain the experience. You could build your foundations and then over time you will find your space. But I had no plan. It was ready, fire, aim, and go with a new baby in tow. And then over the next year, I did a lot of training in the world of neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy. So I became a practitioner, a master practitioner and trainer of those modalities. And it really took Bob's beautiful metaphysical work. He was one of the world's leading authorities in prosperity thinking and growth, but it also combined it with a much more scientific and concrete approach. There was a lot of systems and structures and frameworks in the world of NLP, and it encouraged me to start doing more research into the world of neuroscience. And so all of that being said, I loved taking that blend of structure and flow and really marrying them, because it just made sense to me. It connected me back to the world of mind body movement, where we use these recipes, but we also looked at the person, we looked at the human in front of us, and we really took a holistic approach for amazing results with clients. And so that's how we came to be. And then over time, we figured out what we're really doing, how we really help people to the best of our abilities. And we've created our own suite of programs that do make sense for our clients and those that come across our path.
I love that. I love that. When I saw the title of your book, I was like, that seems like the answer to everything, right?
I have one right here. I had one on my shelf. So yeah, stop procrastinating your life away. Discover the secrets to more time, money, and freedom. But
and there's so many things that we allow to get in the way. And, I do use my neurodiversity as an excuse a lot, but I also know there's tools that I can use that will help. And so I might have to read your book, but it's just, I think it's really important, because we spend a lot of our life just avoiding doing the thing. Right. And so maybe how do I want to ask this? What is the one main thing that you see people doing that is easily adapted?
In order to
make a change, not to be procrastinating too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I think there's 3 key things that lead to procrastination. So maybe I'll just talk really briefly about that. First is an identity. You're I'm a procrastinator. You've done it. You call yourself that. You take on that identity. So of course it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Another one is it's learned behavior, right? Your family put things off. You just learn it. You adopt it. You don't really think about it, but it's happened so long. It's just part of what you do. And then the third component is there's an emotional connection. So if something's a little new or scary or too painful, why would you want to feel bad? And so you avoid doing things because you don't want to feel bad. So those are 3 really big things that do lead to the procrastination trap. However, in terms of one big thing to get out of it, if you have, I call them big, juicy goals, because when things are juicy, you get excited and light up like a Christmas tree. And when you have big, juicy goals that you're working towards that are in alignment with a beautiful vision of your life and business, then you don't need to procrastinate. You're going to do what you need to do, whether you want to or not. You're going to get up off your butt because it's important enough. And ultimately, as humans, we're motivated by either pain or pleasure. Pain is usually a greater motivator, but sometimes the pain of not having this thing, the pain of not doing this thing is so great that you're just I can't take it anymore. I've got to get moving. But the dream has to be big enough. It has to be important enough. And the fact is, most people don't know how to dream, and they don't have a picture of what they want. You go, what do you want? I don't know. I want to relax after work today. I want to retire on a beach and just do nothing. That's not satisfaction. When people really identify what they want, there's something that lights them up from the inside out, and that will get us moving.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I think I started out as the the emotional, and then it became an identity of procrastinating. And now I'm trying to break that, because I do recognize that when I'm excited about things, I can I'm a hard worker, but I get close to the end, and then it's oh yeah, okay, I've done all the fun stuff. Now I just don't let it take it over the finish line. That's a lot. And most people would think, oh no, not you, because you are always putting things out and you're always doing things. But it depends on sort of my commitment to things. And there are so many other projects that I never, ever get done. And so, yeah, I think
Well, and when you look at it, if you really think about your dream, there's going to be a lot that you never will get done and you shouldn't get done, because a lot of things could just fall off the list because they're no longer relevant or they're not relevant right now. And when you have that dream or that goal as a filter, you can say, this is important. This is a must do. This is a would be nice, but really actually not the right time, because it has nothing to do with where I'm going at this phase in my journey.
Yeah. And maybe that's it. You know, I'm constantly on this moving path.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I start to head this way and then it's like, oh no, follow this path. So, you know, I do put lots out there. So it's not like I'm not doing anything. So,
well, and it's a matter of doing the right things, because a lot of times we fall in the productivity trap. I want to be productive and do a lot of things, and you check off the boxes, but are they really effective? And when you really start looking at it through the filter of effectiveness, that can be a very humbling moment, because those are the moments where we want to bury our head in the sand and we go, okay, I've been running myself ragged. I can do more than 10 other people and they think I'm so amazing, but deep down inside, I know I should actually be doing this one simple thing that I've avoided like the plague.
Okay, that one might be me.
I know I'm familiar with this. Like, I had a PhD in this and I've gotten a lot better at it. However, this is a familiar story. You're not the only one, so don't worry about that. But when you recognize it and you finally get to the point of admitting it, you'll go, okay, now I can do something about it.
And it's so funny because it's literally what I teach, right? And I share with my community all the time, you know, about, you know, the steps. There's some needed steps, and then the others can be extra and the others can be exciting and all of those things, but there's some things that you need to do. And so I find it funny. I have to say I am one of the do not lead by my example. Do what I say, not what I do. I am absolutely that person. I am more and more trying to like actually follow my own advice, because it's pretty good advice actually. So I am trying to do that more and more. And, oh goodness. And so in your own business, what are some of the things that you put first that you find important to move you, like your specific business? I'm not saying generally, but for you, what are the important things for you?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some things that are non-negotiable and other things that can be more flexible. So there's always going to be things that come up in business, but one of the big things, like for years, we have done live events. So we have consistent calls with our clients. We do a lot of consistent work in our own programming, but we also have pretty much every 4 weeks or so, like 4 to 6 weeks. It depends on like the rotation, but once a month on average, we hold a free event for our community. And we finally shifted the cycles and the specific events and how we're doing them this year to another format. It's worked really, really good. But we put things out to our community. That's something, it's like non-negotiable. And I remember last summer, my son was going through camps and I just had this idea. I'm like, you know, the thought of going to a different camp, some are in the city, some are at the cottage, some are out west. I was like changing my life every week. And the thought of doing events, doing all this work to put these on was just daunting. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to just take 2 months off. And even though the idea was great at the beginning of the summer, by the end of the summer, my energy was off. I was like, you know, I could maybe take 1 month off, or maybe do them a little, like maybe have one big event in the summer a little further apart. But taking that much time away from something that was so regular was really disruptive to me, not like from a business and lead gen standpoint, but from an energetic standpoint. Because I was like, I like connecting with people. I do what I do so we could serve people, so we could build and grow the community. And I started to get disconnected from my mission, even though that's only one component of my business. So that's like one small but huge component that has many ripples. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that again. Like this summer, we're definitely holding an event or two. We might do smaller events or lower lift events that are just not as challenging and involved, but I'm not doing that this summer because it was really disruptive to me and I didn't like it. I didn't show up well in my personal and on my vacation time because I was thrown off. And so that's one thing. Another thing is we really are very deliberate about staying in touch with our community. And some people are like, automations, AI, let's automate everything. And we've got automations. You register for an event, you get like the emails and the text messages. We do AI and automations to help with some of that. But we make sure as a team, like all of Team Abundance, every single day connects with humans as humans. So we'll send messages, we'll go live, we'll talk to our community, we'll hold extra calls. We'll be like, I'm thinking about you and I feel like you need some support. We'll reach out to people if we know that they need it. And we make a point of deliberately connecting human to human with our clients, with people in our community every single day. And I don't think a lot of businesses do that. And it's work, it's effort. However, it also keeps us plugged into what we're doing, and it helps us serve better, but it keeps us and keeps the reciprocity going. So those are two examples of things that we do religiously in our business.
And I just want to jump back to what you said about, the events and it being energetic, like the energetic difference that you notice. And I think this is a really important point, especially for women, to really pay attention to, yes, you need to move the needle with your business and, be making sales and all of those things, but what feels right for you? How does it feel right? Like, what is best for you? And it may not be the same as somebody else who's doing a similar thing. You have to find the way that works for you. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think like so often we get stuck in these boxes. We go to a training and we're like, oh, I've got the recipe for this. I better follow all the steps. And I think you should follow all the steps in the beginning till you build a level of competence in something new. But over time, test, tweak, pay attention, like use your own brain. Is it actually working? What parts of it are working? What works? What aligns? What doesn't? And you'll find your own mix. But that's really the only way to have that sticking and staying power in your business, is taking these really smart ideas and making them your own.
Yeah. In our community, we talk a lot about collaborations. And the one thing I hear a lot is, well, I don't want someone to steal my ideas, or I don't want them to steal my work, right? And that's the one thing I say all the time is, everybody, it didn't matter if we're all doing the same thing or whatever it is, you are the uniqueness of your business. So find what works for you and that helps serve other people, right? What do they need? But what is going to feed you? Because if you are not excited about what you do, it is not sustainable. If you are not energetically aligned with what you do, it is not sustainable. And that is such an important part. We get burnt out so easily otherwise. And so really being tapped into what's best for yourself while serving other people is such an important part.
Yeah, I've definitely seen, I remember there were moments where I used to have like new messages or new concepts that I would put out to my community. And I'm on some people's email lists that are a part of our community. And they would, like, a week after I do every new message or every new thought process, what would happen in their lists? They would copy that. I'm like, how interesting. But no matter how much people copy it, they will never be able to replicate it as successfully as you if it's yours from here. And they will never get the same results, because if it's a canned message and they don't infuse themselves into it, it's not going to work. It's not going to be the same. They could say the exact same words, they could use the same templates. It won't get the same result because it's not coming from, they're not breathing their own life into it. And I love using other people's ideas or things as brainstorm tools and concepts, but you've always got to breathe your own uniqueness and life into it, or it's just going to fall flat. And I've realized, like, there's so much information out there. Go ahead, try to copy what I do. You're not going to get the same result because there's a lot of stuff happening behind the surface. But go ahead, copy one thing and infuse yourself into it, and it's going to turn into something completely different that's actually constructive. And so it is what it is. And people know deep down if they have integrity behind what they do or not. So
yeah, so important. Wow. And I see here that you have the personal elevation playbook for people. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Probably about year and a half, 2 years ago now, probably a year and a half ago now, I was talking to we talked to a lot of members in our community, and I realized that a lot of people were doing work on the surface. They would like check off the boxes. Oh yeah, I listened to the podcast. Oh yeah, I did my gratitude. Oh yeah, I did my morning routine. Oh yeah, I studied Joe Dispenza. Oh yeah, I did my whatever. Like, and they would understand it intellectually, but they didn't get it in the heart. And so often, a lot of people were really approaching their personal growth and development at the surface level, and they were trying to go deep, but something wouldn't work. And so I was just really furious. I wrote this over the holidays, and I was a little bit pissed, actually. I was just like, I'm so sick and tired. So all of these things that I was sick and tired of seeing, and these problems that people tried solving but struggled with, I wrote solutions. I wrote about those problems, and I really looked at deeper level solutions for them, really looking at how you can create deep purpose, true fulfillment, how you can connect your desires to your legacy, because it's something that builds and expands beyond you. So it's probably one of my favorite pieces of work. Like, I love this book because it's a good guide, but the playbook was just like my fingers hitting the keyboard, and it's like one of my favorite things that I've written. But it's a beautiful opportunity for you to go on a self journey, to call yourself out on the real shit. And with compassion, without judgment. It's about you getting real with yourself so you can accelerate and truly move forward.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And the link is below for anyone who's watching. The link is below. And I think you have a lot to share, and we could talk for so much longer. Is there any final thoughts you want to make sure we mention before we go today?
Yeah, I think so often, I know you speak to a lot of very spiritually and heart-centered and spiritually minded people, and it's so important that we connect to and listen to spirit. But one of the biggest things we want to do is take the spirit and bring it into reality. We don't take reality and go, spirit, let me beg for a solution. That's not going to work. But when we get those intuitive hits, when we get inspired and like truly are living in spirit, and we make a deliberate point of bringing it back to earth, and that means like actually doing the work. That means, like you mentioned, sales and prospecting and do all the business stuff. You still want to do the business stuff. You can do it with heart, but don't forget that you've got to take the heart and bring it into reality so people can actually sink their teeth into something. People don't buy spirit, they buy you. People don't buy spirit, they buy the results that you can help them get. And it's your responsibility to make that connection for people, because that's the only way you can actually help them get better.
Love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for being here today. And again, the link is below, plus your link to get to your website. Everything's below. So for anyone who wants more information about you, and I just want to thank you again for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And for our listeners, we will see you again next time on the Aligned Ambition Show. Are you a woman interested in aligning your heart-centered business with your ethics, values, and life goals? Join our Aligned Business Building Mastermind for accountability, like-minded women who become your business colleagues to share your journey with, resources and trainings, and so much more. Join us for 1 month free using the link below. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on the Aligned Ambition Show.